What was supposed to be just another glamorous, high-energy night in the reality television world quickly transformed into something no one cast, crew, or fans could have predicted. The venue buzzed with the usual mix of flashing lights, dramatic entrances, and off-camera whispers. But beneath the surface, an unusual tension seemed to simmer. People arrived expecting the standard blend of playful drama and staged chaos. But instead, an unexpected shift in energy began to ripple through the room, tightening the atmosphere moment by moment. Producers who normally smiled through the madness looked unusually alert. Cast members exchanged curious glances, and even the audience could sense that something was brewing. As the night unfolded, a sudden wave of commotion ignited backstage, hinting that an incident involving Meneses and Tamar Braxton's two personalities, already known for their unpredictable presence, was taking shape. In that instant, what had started as an ordinary taping began drifting toward the kind of explosive, career-shaking moment that reality TV fans would be talking about for years. Rumors didn't just appear slowly, they erupted like a shockwave, spreading from one corner of the venue to the digital world in a matter of minutes. At first, it began as a faint murmur, the kind of soft, cautious whisper exchanged between two production assistants who had clearly seen something they weren't sure how to process. Within moments, that whisper reached a cameraman, then a makeup artist, then a cast member standing off stage, and suddenly, it was as if the entire environment had tilted. People leaned in closer, curious eyes darting between hallways and dressing rooms, waiting for someone to confirm what they hoped was just another exaggerated misunderstanding. But the expressions on those who had witnessed even a glimpse of the moment told a different story. Wide eyes, nervous smiles, and that unmistakable look of, "Did I really just see that?" As the confusion thickened inside the venue, fans outside began picking up on the strange energy. It started with short, vague tweets from audience members lucky enough to be inside the taping. "Yo, something crazy just happened. Nah, this is wild. Did y'all see what happened with Tamar?" Those vague hints were enough to trigger a chain reaction online. Fan pages began speculating wildly, throwing theories into the digital fire based on half-truths, assumptions, and sheer imagination. The more people tried to understand, the more twisted the story became. Instagram accounts that usually reported small cast updates suddenly went live, gathering thousands of viewers within seconds as commentators tried to piece together a narrative from bits of overheard conversations and unverified screenshots. Inside the studio, the tension became almost suffocating. Producers were seen moving quickly, whispering urgently into headsets, and signaling camera operators to adjust angles, void specific hallways, or hold certain footage. Cast members who normally thrived in drama seemed hesitant, watching each other closely for clues. Every reaction, every shift in body language, every offhand comment was instantly dissected by people both inside and outside the show. The uncertainty made the moment even more intense. Fans weren't just watching a rumor unfold. They felt like they were participating in it. And just when it seemed like the chaos might settle, the first bold claim hit social media, a post hinting that a private moment between Meneses and Tamar Braxton had been caught in the most unexpected circumstances. Within seconds, comment sections exploded. The rumor had legs now long. Fast, uncontrollable legs, and it was sprinting across the internet with no intention of slowing down. The alleged private moment between Meneses and Tamar Braxton became the spark that turned an already tense night into a full-blown inferno. And although no one could confirm exactly what happened, the stories being whispered painted a picture that was impossible to ignore. According to the earliest murmurs, something unfolded in a backstage hallway, kind of dimly lit, heavily monitored area that usually stays off limits to anyone except production staff and essential cast. That made the rumor even more shocking because whatever happened wasn't supposed to happen there. Not in that space, not in that moment. Some claimed that Meneses and Tamar had slipped away for what looked like a heated conversation. Others insisted it wasn't an argument at all, but an unexpectedly intimate encounter that caught everyone off guard. A few people swore someone accidentally walked in on them, froze in confusion, then backed away like they had stepped into something far more personal than a typical reality TV spat, even though no one could agree on the details. The intensity of the whispers made the situation feel real, especially since both Meneses and Tamar have reputations for emotional transparency, impulsive reactions, and high-voltage chemistry traits that made the rumor feel dangerously believable. The audience didn't need proof. The possibility alone was enough to set everything on fire. Fan pages began piecing together timelines, matching blurry backstage footage with suspicious gaps in camera coverage, and speculating whether the two had history that producers never let air. Some even claimed they saw Meneses adjusting clothing and Tamar avoiding eye contact when they returned to the stage, analyzing their body language as if decoding a secret message. Inside the venue, cast members exchanged looks filled with shock, amusement, or thinly veiled judgment, each interpreting the situation through their own biases and alliances. Crew members who knew better than to discuss official matters spoke in riddles, dropping cryptic hints that made things sound even more scandalous than they probably were. And in true reality TV fashion, the absence of solid evidence only amplified the story, because when there's no footage released, people assume the truth must be too explosive to show. The alleged private moment became the centerpiece of the night, the mystery everyone wanted to solve. The forbidden scene that no one had actually seen clearly, but everyone felt confident describing. By the time an hour had passed, the rumor wasn't just a rumor anymore, had turned into a narrative, one that fans, cast, and bloggers were shaping together, piece by piece, until it felt bigger, wilder, and more dramatic than anything the show itself had planned. As the alleged events began circulating, fans reacted with a frenzy that few could have predicted, transforming curiosity into a wildfire of speculation, outrage, and obsession across every social media platform. Twitter exploded first, with hashtags related to Meneses and Tamar Braxton trending within minutes. And every fan account, no matter how small, felt compelled to weigh in. Reaction threads filled with rapid-fire commentary, some incredulous, some gleeful, others outright defensive, each attempting to decode what had actually occurred. Instagram stories showed blurred snapshots and cryptic captions, while TikTok videos layered fan narrations over exaggerated reenactments, turning every minor gesture, glance, or hesitation into supposed evidence. Even casual viewers who weren't at the event began scrutinizing old interviews, social media posts, and prior episodes, hunting for clues that might support one version of the story or another. Within this chaos, the rumors solidified into collective obsession. Fans argued about intentions, body language, and even subtle emotional cues, dissecting every frame of a night that had only lasted moments. The comment sections became battlegrounds, where opinions clashed with the ferocity of long-standing rivalries. And even loyal supporters of Meneses or Tamar found themselves questioning what they thought they knew. Memes and reaction videos multiplied by the hour, each one exaggerating emotions, creating humor, or provoking outrage, all while keeping the story alive and escalating the intensity of public attention. What made the reaction so volatile wasn't just the alleged act itself, was the human drama layered on top. Betrayal, secrecy, and a mixture of shock and fascination that made viewers feel like they were part of the unfolding spectacle. Fans speculated about everything: whether Yandy had witnessed the moment, how long it lasted, whether alcohol had played a role, and what consequences would ripple through relationships, professional connections, and the reality TV hierarchy. The frenzy wasn't limited to idle chatter. It had become a cultural event, a moment in reality TV history that demanded attention, analysis, and debate. Each comment, post, and share reinforced the story, creating feedback loops that fueled obsession and heightened emotion. By the time the night had ended and the initial chaos had settled, the narrative had taken on a life of its own. What began as whispers backstage now dominated feeds, inboxes and group chats, ensuring that no one could ignore the incident. And everyone, fans, friends, and cast alike, was left waiting breathlessly for the next clue. The next post, the next revelation that could shift the story once again. The intensity of the fan reaction marked a turning point, transforming private speculation into a public spectacle that no one could control, and leaving a lingering question in every viewer's mind. What really happened behind the scenes? And how far would the fallout reach? While fans dissected every detail online, Yandy's perspective added a deeply personal dimension to the unfolding drama. Making the story far more than just speculation, it became raw emotional reality. From the moment she noticed subtle changes in the energy between Meneses and Tamar Braxton, her instincts screamed that something significant was occurring, something that could shatter trust and reshape relationships forever. She observed their interactions with a heightened awareness. Every glance, every slight hesitation, every unintended brush of hands magnified in her mind. The atmosphere, once lighthearted and celebratory, had shifted to something heavy and unpredictable. And Yandy felt the weight of both clarity and confusion pressing on her simultaneously. She could sense the undercurrents of past tension surfacing, layered with alcohol-fueled vulnerability that neither Meneses nor Tamar seemed fully capable of controlling. Her thoughts swirled, cycling through disbelief, concern, and the sharp sting of betrayal, as she tried to piece together what had transpired during moments she hadn't been fully present for, even as she attempted to steady her emotions. Every reaction from the pair felt amplified, their words and movements charged with unintended implications. Friends approached, attempting to reassure her, yet their presence offered little relief. The emotional impact of witnessing the intensity of Meneses and Tamar's private moment. Now, public knowledge was too potent to ignore. Each whispered rumor she overheard, every fleeting observation of their uneasy body language compounded her anxiety, leaving her struggling to process the situation without being swept away by it. And when hints of a pregnancy test came to light, the stakes escalated further, intertwining shock, fear, and uncertainty into a tangled web of emotional complexity. Yandy's role shifted from observer to active participant, compelled to confront the truth head-on, demanding clarity and accountability from both Meneses and Tamar, even as they themselves grappled with remorse, confusion, and the pressure of public scrutiny. The emotional roller coaster intensified as the trio navigated conversations filled with tension, regret, and tentative attempts at understanding. Each word spoken weighed against the relentless gaze of fans and family alike. In this crucible of trust and perception, Yandy's reactions became a mirror reflecting the fragile nature of human relationships under extreme pressure, highlighting the difficulty of reconciling personal loyalty with the chaotic reality of exposure. By the end of the night, it was clear that the private moment, brief though it may have been, had sparked a series of consequences that would ripple outward, testing bonds, trust, and resilience, leaving everyone involved to confront a new reality where nothing, relationships, reputations, or emotions would remain the same. As the aftermath of that fateful night unfolded, Meneses and Tamar Braxton found themselves trapped in a whirlwind of public scrutiny and private reckoning, struggling to navigate emotions that were raw, tangled, and impossible to ignore. Every glance between them, every carefully chosen word, carried the weight of a moment that had spiraled far beyond their control, while fans and media outlets amplified every minor gesture into a story of monumental significance. In private attempts at calm, honest dialogue were constantly interrupted by waves of doubt, remorse, and fear of misinterpretation. Meneses wrestled with guilt, replaying the evening over and over in his mind, analyzing each lapse in judgment and wondering how a few moments of intoxicated vulnerability had become the catalyst for a storm that threatened not just his public image, but his relationships with those he cared about most. Tamar, equally conflicted, balanced defensiveness with shame, her emotions swinging between wanting to explain herself and wanting to retreat from the relentless gaze of outsiders dissecting her every reaction. Their conversations were punctuated by pauses, awkward silences, and heated admissions. Each attempt at clarity layered with hesitation, as the two tried to reconcile human error with the extraordinary consequences of that night. Meanwhile, Yandy's presence remained crucial, her insistence on honesty acting as both a guiding force and a source of tension, reminding them that the truth could no longer be avoided or glossed over. Each discussion, whether whispered in private corners or documented in subtle social media cues, carried enormous significance, shaping not only the trajectory of their personal connections, but also the narrative that fans were rapidly constructing online. The situation became even more complicated with the revelation of Tamar's positive pregnancy test, adding layers of responsibility, fear, and uncertainty that heightened every exchange. The pressure of knowing that every statement, every gesture could be interpreted, misinterpreted, and broadcast publicly weighed heavily on all three, demanding emotional resilience, careful communication, and moral accountability. Friends and family tried to mediate, offering guidance that ranged from supportive to cautionary, their input creating additional layers of complexity as the trio struggled to balance private reconciliation with the unavoidable consequences of public scrutiny. Social media acted as both magnifier and amplifier, keeping the story alive, relentless, and inescapable, while memes, commentary, and speculation ensured that no decision went unnoticed. By the time the night had fully concluded and private conversations had run their course, it was evident that nothing would remain the same. Trust had been tested, emotions had been raw, and relationships had been reshaped under the unforgiving spotlight of both intimate exposure and public obsession, leaving all involved to navigate a new, fragile reality where every action carried weight far beyond its initial moment as the public frenzy escalated. Every move Menesis, Tamar Braxton, and Yandy made was scrutinized through the lens of social media, gossip outlets, and fan theories, creating an environment where private feelings became almost impossible to protect. Each appearance, each post, and even subtle gestures were analyzed and dissected by audiences hungry for confirmation or scandal, turning personal conversations into performative acts under constant observation. Meneses struggled to maintain composure, aware that any misstep could fuel another wave of criticism, while Tamar wrestled with her own vulnerability, trying to navigate the delicate balance between defending herself and taking accountability for actions that had unintentionally ignited widespread speculation. Yandy, caught between loyalty and shock, became both a witness and a moral anchor, insisting on honesty while managing her own emotional upheaval, her presence amplifying the stakes and underscoring the gravity of what had transpired. The trio's interactions were fraught with tension, each discussion a careful negotiation of words, body language, and unspoken understanding, as they attempted to untangle a night that had spiraled out of control and now carried its consequences far beyond anyone's expectations. Family and friends entered the conversation, offering advice, mediation, or judgment, further complicating the emotional landscape and forcing all involved to consider not only personal feelings, but also the perceptions and expectations of those closest to them. The revelation of Tamar's positive pregnancy test intensified these dynamics, adding urgency and responsibility to every choice and conversation, and forcing each individual to confront the long-term implications of what had initially been a brief, intoxicated lapse. Fans, meanwhile, continued to dissect every public appearance, comparing expressions, comments, and interactions, fueling a narrative that often overshadowed the personal realities of those involved. Each meme, reaction video, and analysis thread reinforced the pressure, transforming the private turmoil into a shared spectacle where judgments, hypotheses, and conjectures became a continuous echo in the trio's lives. Emotional fatigue set in as every attempt at reconciliation or explanation was filtered through public opinion, creating a cycle where private honesty collided with the insatiable curiosity of an audience that demanded clarity, drama, and entertainment in equal measure. Despite their best efforts, Meneses, Tamar, and Yandy were forced to confront uncomfortable truths, grapple with remorse, and navigate a delicate balance of accountability, compassion, and trust. Knowing that each choice carried ripple effects capable of shaping both personal relationships and public perception. By the end of this period, the intensity of observation, speculation, and emotional negotiation made it clear that the events of that night were no longer isolated. They had become a crucible for testing loyalty, resilience, and the strength of bonds that had once seemed unbreakable, leaving everyone involved to face the reality that recovery would require courage, transparency, and unwavering honesty in the face of relentless scrutiny. The final chapter of this tangled saga saw Meneses, Tamar Braxton, and Yandy confronting the long-term consequences of that fateful night, as the ripples of one evening's indiscretions continued to influence every corner of their lives. Public scrutiny remained relentless, with fans, media outlets, and social media users dissecting every gesture, every expression, and every statement, transforming personal experiences into shared spectacle. While the trio struggled to maintain privacy and composure amidst the chaos, Meneses wrestled with the lingering weight of guilt and responsibility, aware that the choices made under the influence of alcohol had far-reaching implications that went well beyond a fleeting moment of vulnerability. Tamar navigated the dual pressures of personal accountability and impending parenthood, her emotions oscillating between regret, defensiveness, and the urgent need to communicate clearly and thoughtfully with those most affected. Yandy, whose initial shock and feelings of betrayal had evolved into a determined insistence on honesty, continued to play a pivotal role, guiding conversations with a mix of empathy, assertiveness, and emotional clarity, ensuring that the truth was confronted rather than ignored. Each interaction between the three was layered with tension, the stakes amplified by the knowledge that the public was watching, interpreting, and often judging in real time, forcing them to carefully weigh words, tone, and body language in every private discussion. Family and friends remained deeply involved, offering support, advice, and mediation while also grappling with their own perspectives on accountability, trust, and forgiveness, further complicating the emotional landscape. Meanwhile, the pervasive presence of social media and online discourse ensured that even minor developments could escalate into viral moments, with memes, commentary, and speculation acting as a constant reminder of the blurred lines between private life and public spectacle. Despite the intensity, moments of introspection, honesty, and tentative reconciliation emerged, highlighting the resilience and complexity of human emotion under pressure. Conversations about responsibility, forgiveness, and future actions became crucial, providing opportunities for growth, understanding, and the slow rebuilding of trust, while the pregnancy revelation continued to elevate the urgency and weight of these decisions. In the end, the saga underscored how a single night of misjudgment and emotional vulnerability could profoundly alter relationships, reputations, and personal development, emphasizing the fragility of trust, the importance of accountability, and the enduring impact of human emotion. As Meneses, Tamar, and Yandy navigated this new reality, they were forced to confront difficult truths, make intentional choices, and face the consequences of their actions with courage, integrity, and emotional honesty, knowing that the story of that night would remain a defining moment in all of their lives, forever shaping their relationships, public perception, and personal growth.